Lost time is never found again. So said Benjamin Franklin in 1747 in Poor Richard's Almanac. How many of us can recognize the truth in that statement, however much we wish it wasn't? And those of us who own small businesses, we have to make the most of every day, and there's always so much competing for our attention and our time. In the previous video, we looked at the Eisenhower Matrix, which is a genius prioritization tool. But prioritization is only half the battle of time management when you're a small business owner. And once you know what your priorities are, you have to actually, prioritize them. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a schedule for your week that ensures your priorities truly do come first. Hi, I'm Sally. I help overwhelmed small business owners transform their businesses to take better care of their clients and themselves. This video is part of my Time is Money series. You can access the playlist here. Now, before we dive into the scheduling part of things, let's do a quick recap of the Eisenhower Matrix. Essentially, every item on your to-do list falls into one of the 4 categories in the matrix. Important but not urgent, urgent and important, urgent but not important, and neither important nor urgent. You want to prioritize the tasks in the top 2 quadrants and either not do at all or at least give a much lower priority to the tasks in the bottom 2 quadrants. And if you want to learn more about the kinds of tasks that fall into each quadrant and specifically how the prioritizations work, I recommend you watch that video. It's right here. But now, let's look at how to actually add all of this to your calendar once you've figured out what's what. You've got your completed Eisenhower Matrix handy? Good. You're going to use it. So that I don't have to keep saying important but not urgent, both urgent and important and the like, we're going to call them A priorities, B priorities, and C priorities from here on out. And if you're saying, oh, but Sally, what about the 4th quadrant? Aren't those D priorities? No, they are not. Those are neither urgent nor important, and so it's a list of things to get rid of because they are not serving you or your business. Those items do not get onto your calendar. But you got one more important thing to do before anything goes on your calendar at all other than scheduled appointments. You need to look at the big priorities, the A priorities, and break them down into smaller tasks. Because let's be honest, if it's a long-term goal, you're not going to be able to do it all from 3 to 5 on a Wednesday anyway. So, if you've been dreaming about an A priority and you haven't actually thought about what it will take to achieve, the first task on your list might be figure out plan for world domination, or maybe even research world domination strategies. And that probably is doable in a 2-hour time block. And while we're here, let's talk about time blocking. For the uninitiated, this is when you designate large swaths of time in your schedule for specific areas of focus, and you do not allow anything or anyone to schedule over them. It's a really helpful way to ensure you have the space to focus on the things you need to focus on. As a small business owner, you're called in so many directions at once, it can be really hard to take that time. And that's why you block it into your schedule. You don't make it available for client calls or appointments. And by giving yourself a large chunk of time, you give yourself the space you need to be able to drop into the zone that deep focus work requires. And this is why you schedule the B priorities first. Wait, what? I thought we were talking about the A priorities? Well, we were, but remember, B priorities are urgent and important. They must be done now, or if not now, as soon as possible. Everything else must be scheduled around them, so they go into the calendar first. Let me give you an example you might not be thinking of. Finances. On the last day of every month, I schedule a 1-hour block to update and review my profit and loss statements, and to make sure that I've included all of my expenses. It's not necessarily an urgent task to enter each expense as I incur it, but it will be overwhelming if I wait until the end of the quarter or, God, the end of the year. So many receipts. As time passes and we get closer to year end, it becomes an urgent task. So I address the urgent and the important nature of it by blocking off the time in my schedule to do the work now. It's in the calendar as soon as I start planning my year. But that's a long-range example. Other examples of the things that are B priorities that get scheduled first are standing networking meetings if you're part of a networking group. Networking events you know will be good for you to attend. client meetings, employee check-ins, and meetings or events that are already on your schedule. And of course, open spaces for the last minute B priorities you don't know about yet. B priorities go into your schedule first to give you some structure. And once you know where the unclaimed spaces are in your week, then you can add in the A priorities. Now, I know you think you should be scheduling all of the urgent stuff first, like maybe after B, do C. But if you do that, if you focus only on the urgent side of the matrix, you'll never get to your A priorities. I mean, have you found the time for them so far? No? Of course you haven't, because there's always busy work to be done. There is always urgent work of some sort to be paying attention to, whether or not it's truly important work. So, the first things that go into your calendar are your B priorities to help you structure your week, followed by time blocks for your A priorities. And when you're scheduling these time blocks, be specific. Don't just schedule work on new client campaign. Write the specific thing or things you will be doing during that A priority time block. As I have said many, many times before, specificity is always your friend in business. So maybe you're going to spend that time figuring out what you want to achieve with the new client campaign. Maybe you're going to spend it researching marketing agencies to help take some of the planning and implementation load off your shoulders. Maybe you're going to use it to compile a list of contacts who might have leads for you and then draft an email to send to them. Whatever it is you're going to do during that time to help you move forward on your goal, write it down in the scheduling block. Now, here's the thing. Aside from rare events when you might be able to block off a couple of days to do certain kinds of work like quarterly or annual planning, you are not generally going to be able to time block out full days for your A priorities. You're instead going to schedule 2 to 3 2-hour blocks per week to work on them. And make sure it's at a time when your brain is at its best, whether that's first thing in the morning or just before lunch. Remember, these are strategic priorities. They're big goals requiring big plans. So give them space and a time when you can be effective. But not all of your space, because you've still got to have space for new B priorities to slot into when they pop up. And they always pop up. You've got to make space, some space, not a lot of space, for your C priorities. Now, I'm not going to spend nearly as much time talking about C priorities as I have the other two categories because they're just not important. That's baked into the description of the quadrant. Urgent, but not important. But they probably still need to be done, or you would have shoved them into the delete quadrant and rid yourself of them forever. So the best thing you can do here is have a regularly scheduled time every day or a couple of times a week, depending on the task, when you can focus on your C priorities. So maybe you check your email 3 specific times a day, mid-morning, right after lunch, and as you're putting together your to-do list or scheduled for the next day, for example. And if you have employees, figure out what C priority tasks you can hand off to someone else. Maybe there's an opportunity to help a promising team member develop new skills. And now, let's look at the costs of not putting all of this into your schedule and continuing to just run around after the urgent tasks. Because time is money. Your money. I know we business owners can feel like we have to do everything ourselves and we have to do everything and we have to do everything right now just to make sure that it's done right and it's done. And that when you're in the thick of things and overwhelmed and scrambling, the very idea of not addressing all of the urgent stuff when it first arises is distressing. I mean, email really tugs at our FOMO strings. And if you just can't picture putting together a schedule like this for your week, get out your pencils and some paper because it's time to do some hard math. I mean, the math itself is not difficult. It's going to be hard because you're not going to enjoy it. And it all starts with putting a dollar value on your time. What's your hourly rate? Not the hourly rate you charge clients because you will never see all of that. You've got rent and taxes and operational expenses to pay. I am talking about the hourly rate you'd like to earn as an employee of your own business. And for this example, I'm going to use $100 because it makes the math easier, the actual math anyway. It's still not going to be a pleasant experience. Now, look at your calendar. If you spend an hour each day dealing with emails, you're spending 5 hours of your week doing that work. So multiply your hourly rate by however many hours you spend doing it. And that's how much you're paying yourself to read and respond to emails every week. Is it worth that much money? How much return are you getting on that investment? I mean, even if you're not paying yourself an hourly rate per se, you're still putting in the hours to do the work. It's vital that you spend that time on the things that are of the greatest value. And if you want to dive into this more deeply, I've got a business alignment bundle that helps you take the 30,000 foot view to see where your time, money, and energy are really going, and it helps you figure out where you want that time, money, and energy to go. I've put a link in the show notes, and if you find this content useful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone you think could use it. I am passionate about providing information that supports my fellow business owners, and your participation tells the algorithm it's valuable. And if you'd like to learn some more tools for simplifying your business and taking control of your schedule, you might just want to watch this video.